Let's talk about low testosterone, TRT, and PED use. So this is not going to be telling you, oh, using PEDs will cause you to have low testosterone. Everyone already knows that. That's not news. That's not interesting. I'd much rather talk about something interesting. So, continuing with this whole thing of low testosterone and the causes of it and things like that, I would like to highlight something that I think is worth discussing, and it's worth considering and thinking about for a moment. So first off, I should probably take a step back and say that I know nothing about PEDs. Whenever I do say something about it, I usually have to cite someone like William Llewellyn or Peter Bond. I have to tell you that this is what someone else wrote. Some of you have been kind enough to leave comments in the comments section in other videos where I've discussed performance-enhancing drugs, and you tell me, you're an idiot, you obviously never use steroids because you don't know anything about them. And it's like, well, yes, it's a valid criticism. However, I do try my best to cite people who I feel know something about them. I think Peter Bond's book is actually quite good. That's not to say that I know anything about them. I don't claim to be an expert on any of this stuff. I know a lot about testosterone because of the fact that I studied neurobiology, which meant that I studied pituitary function. And when you look at pituitary function in the endocrine system, the HPTA axis and all this stuff like that, I studied glucocorticoids specifically, and that's actually very important because when we put people on dexamethasone, it actually disrupts that axis. So if you put people on large doses of dexamethasone for the treatment of cancer, specifically oligodendroglioma, that actually interferes with the feedback loop because dexamethasone acts a lot like cortisol, so people can end up with adrenal insufficiency, but only because of the fact that their medication disrupted that loop. So when we pull them off the medication, they can have an adrenal crisis. It's actually quite serious. So there's where my knowledge comes from. My knowledge comes from the medical side of things, so I understand the use of testosterone only in a medical application. That being said, I listen to practically anything I can find because I'm a big nerd and I love to learn things, even things that, I don't know, probably other people don't give two shits about. But I especially love to learn about people that lift weights. And, you almost can't find a discussion on lifting weights and stuff like that without people somehow bringing up the performance-enhancing drugs in many of these contexts. So I'm going to give you guys an example here, and like I said in the past, I'm only going to mention people who have openly admitted usage, like John Hack. John Hack made this comment that his first cycle was 200 milligrams a week. Okay, that's interesting, and he made a ton of progress off of it. He talked about how it worked really well, and he made, quite considerable gains off of that. I believe Ben Pollock also said that his first cycle was 200 milligrams a week, and that he now does blast and cruise, and his cruise is 200 milligrams a week. John Meadows. I think John Meadows said his first cycle was 100 milligrams a week, and that he cruised on 200 milligrams a week later in his career after he was, quite big. And that once he decided to stop the whole bodybuilding thing, he was on 200 milligrams a week to maintain his size and his mass. So these guys are definitely getting a performance-enhancing effect out of just 200 milligrams a week, which is actually a very large dose. That's double a TRT dose. 200 milligrams a week is a very large dose if we were looking at the clinical evidence and the research. But meanwhile, and this is the part that's important, there are people out there claiming that I'm on TRT, I just take 200 milligrams a week. So let me get this straight if I follow. Pro bodybuilders, elite level powerlifters, 200 milligrams a week is performance enhancing for them. But yet, if you're a guy pushing your TRT clinic, or just, I don't know, pushing TRT and anti-aging, which anti-aging is a totally different discussion. You should castrate yourself. Eunuchs live longer. No one wants to discuss that. But anyways, guys will be taking 200 milligrams a week as their TRT dosage, and yet you don't see them gaining anything, right? We all know guys who are taking 200 milligrams a week and they're still not making any progress. This brings me full circle to what I said in previous videos, where the reason why your testosterone level is low is because you're unhealthy. You don't eat enough, you don't sleep enough, your diet sucks, you're not taking care of your health, you're not a healthy person, you've damaged your health, and that's why you have low testosterone. You have too much stress, you have too much cortisol, you screw with your thyroid, you screw with your hypothalamus, right? So we have guys who are basically suffering from female athlete triad because they're chronically dieting, they're doing too much volume, whether it's cardio or even lifting. I mean, you could do enough lifting that you are burning too many calories. You're overtraining and under eating. So you're under recovering, and then you end up with low testosterone. And so you put a Band-Aid on it and throw 200 milligrams of testosterone in, but yet you still don't make any progress because you're continuing to do the exact same things that cause you to have low testosterone in the first place. Meanwhile, these guys who had normal testosterone levels, even high testosterone levels, they were already doing everything correctly. They continued doing everything correctly. They continued eating, adequate amounts of protein and frequently eating those adequate amounts of protein and lifting heavy weights and getting enough sleep. So then when they put 200 milligrams in, they make a ton of progress. They gain strength, they gain muscle. They get the enhancement effect because of the fact that they have the big rocks in place. So they're doing everything right, and they add 200 milligrams of testosterone, which is double, a TRT dose, and they see a huge benefit to that. They get a performance-enhancing benefit out of that. Meanwhile, these guys who are fried and knock their testosterone level down to 120 because of their chronic dieting and over-dieting, right? They throw 200 milligrams in and they're like, I don't understand, I'm still not gaining any muscle. And it's like, because you don't fucking eat. Like, your body can't make muscle out of air. You have to consume food. And you need to consume more protein. And then people think, oh, well, I'll just do high protein, low carb, low fat. And it's like, where the fuck are you getting your energy from? Your body is very inefficient at turning protein into energy. And yes, your body can do it. Your body can take protein and convert it into glucose and all that shit like that. That is so inefficient. Eat some goddamn carbs. I'm gluten intolerant. Then have some rice. Eat some fruit. You have an apple before your workout. Have a banana. Like, oh, well, carbs make you fat. That's a different discussion. That one wears me out. See, now I made myself all angry and fatigued because of stupid things that people say. But the point being, the same dosage, 200 milligrams a week, is performance enhancing in people who are already doing everything correct. And it's a TRT dose, not really, but it's a TRT dose in people who are already flatlining their testosterone level because they're doing so much harm to themselves. So if your lifestyle sucks and you don't have the big rocks in place, and then you just throw 200 milligrams into the mix because, oh, well, now I have a high testosterone level, it doesn't fix things. You're still not sleeping enough. You're still not eating enough. You still have too much stress. You still aren't doing the big things that you need to be doing. Meanwhile, the guy who's doing all the things that he needs to be doing and making great progress adds 200 milligrams, and he gets a huge enhancement effect out of it because he has the big rocks in place in the first place. Do you follow? Does this make sense? So it's the same drug, same dosage. One guy gets a huge benefit from it. The other guy gets a small bump in energy from it. Maybe a small bump in his libido or something like that. And it's because of the other factors. Right? This is why I talked about how, you need to address your thyroid. Before you even think about going on testosterone injections for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life. Let that sink in, because I know some of you out there are 20, and you're like, oh, yeah, I can do that. I want you to stop and think, do you really want to do this for the rest of your life? Before you commit to testosterone replacement therapy, remember, it's for life. And so, maybe address your thyroid first. Maybe address your sleep apnea, because if you just throw 200 milligrams of testosterone in and you still have sleep apnea, you're going to have heart problems. And you'll have erectile dysfunction. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that one. That gets guys' attention real quick. I'm glad I mentioned it. I'm glad I thought to mention it. Yes, sleep apnea can cause you to have erectile dysfunction. You can take all the testosterone you want. If you have sleep apnea, you might still have erectile dysfunction regardless of anything else you're taking. Shit, you can be taking Viagra, Cialis, and testosterone. If you got sleep apnea and it's done enough damage to your heart and your vascular system, you may still end up with erectile dysfunction. That usually matters to guys. That's funny. If you mention your penis, that almost always gets guys on board. They care. And they should. I would be pissed. That would suck. But you can fix that. Even your thyroid matters. You can fix those things. Take care of your heart. It's kind of important. Just like I tell people all the time, take care of your brain. Like, it's a little bit important. I would much rather, have healthy heart and brain function for the rest of my life than to have an extra 10 pounds of muscle. I don't think that that's going to make a huge difference in my longevity or my health span. I care more about health span than lifespan. I'd rather live healthy to 75 than unhealthy to 120. In order to be healthy, you're going to need a healthy heart. So address those big things. Address your thyroid. Address your adrenal function. Address your pituitary function. Address your sleep apnea. Address your diabetes. Pay attention to your cholesterol levels, your triglyceride levels. Like, these things do matter. Are you zinc deficient? What's your ALP? How's your liver? What's your AST? What's your ALT? These things matter. How's your kidney function? What's your creatinine? What's your BUN? Right? These things really do matter, because if you want the benefits of anything, you need to make sure that you address your body as a whole, because there's nothing that works by itself. This is where I get weird for a moment. What's the most important organ in your body? And people are like, oh, it's the brain. It's like, well, can the brain exist without the heart? Oh, well, then it's the heart. Well, can your heart exist without your lungs? Can your lungs exist without your liver and your kidneys? Like, sorry, folks. Really, I know the brain is the master, right? Because you can always get a lung transplant or a kidney transplant. Those are just lying around. You can get I'll just get a liver transplant because that's so easy. Heart transplant, right? Yes, we can transplant certain organs, certainly can. But you can't get a brain transplant. So I would argue that, yes, the brain is the most important, but the brain can't exist without the other ones. So really, everything's of equal importance. Your body, as I tell people, train your body as a whole. Okay, well, treat your body as a whole when it comes to health as well. And so this is a very roundabout way of trying to illustrate this point to you. But guys who are already healthy and they add testosterone get a huge performance enhancing effect out of it. Guys who are already unhealthy, which is why they have low testosterone, when they add testosterone, they don't get a performance enhancing effect out of it that's anything significant. It's not like guys on TRT, suddenly step on stage and get their IFBB Pro card. They don't set records in the squat or something, because it's those other factors that are screwing them. Okay? If you don't take care of your health, you can't just throw testosterone into the mix and expect it to fix everything. Now, as I said, I don't know enough about PEDs to comment on other things, so I'm sure that someone out there can comment on my video and tell me, well, you're so dumb because actually, take 18 other drugs and swallow these pills. And sure, I'm sure there's something out there where, like, if you just take enough drugs, like, you'll get a performance enhancing effect even if you're under eating and not sleeping. I'm not sure that that's a good thing for you in the long term, but certainly, yes. If, I don't sleep, that's why I take Adderall. Like, probably, but that probably isn't good for you in the long run. I undereat and therefore I just take thyroid hormone. Well, it probably works, probably balances your thyroid back out, but wouldn't it be better for you to eat enough? Wouldn't it be better for you to have adequate amount of, zinc, magnesium, sodium, calcium, etc.? But what do I know? Some people think that they can just drug their way out of a problem rather than actually addressing it. But the takeaway message here is that before you even think about TRT, okay, those big rocks really matter, because you can see that taking a 200 milligram dose is performance enhancing to the people who already have the big rocks in place. So, just something you might want to think about. I hate the idea that people would just put band-aids on things rather than address their health. That plastic trophy You know, your grandkids are going to throw it out. So, like, what are you killing yourself for? You really do need to address your health. And maybe I'll shoot another video about that later where I talk about the importance of health and you just think, well, I've talked about it before in the past, but I really do feel like people need to. If you're someone like me who suffers with a chronic condition that can't be reversed due to a medical error, it's called an iatrogenic condition. Iatrogenesis sucks. There's nothing I could have done differently. I got into a car accident, and the things I had to go through did permanent damage to my body. If there's something within your control, I want to encourage you to do everything you can to fix it. So if you have high blood glucose, like take a step back and address your diet. If you have high cholesterol, like take a step back and address your diet. Get enough sleep. Like take care of yourself, because it sucks being sick. I wouldn't wish this on anyone, and so that's why I try to tell people all the time. Like take care of your health. There's no amount of medication that is ever going to make you healthy. You have to make yourself healthy.